What is up, YouTube? This is Hypergun, your Chef with the Cap, back again for another video. Now, this week we're going to be continuing our month-long Halloween special with a deck that many people would consider to be as dead can be. Now, my original plan for this was to do a deck resurrection last Thursday for this. However, due to Dev Pro only recently being put back up, i.e. yesterday, from me recording this anyway, I was not able to do that. So what I'm instead going to do is I'm going to show both versions of this deck that I have, and I'll leave it to you guys to decide if they're good or not, even test them out, and the deck in question is none other than Infernity's. Alright, so this is the first version of the Infernity deck that I have built. I'm actually going for a slightly different kind of build. I'm going for a level 3 Transmodify build. I just figured it'd be an interesting way to attempt to get to Archfiend, since he is an excellent Transmodify target, and that does trigger his special summon effect. So this is kind of an early in the works sort of thing, and I'll let you guys, again, be the judge of how well it works. I haven't had time to test it since I created it. So starting off our lineup, we obviously have the one Infernity Archfiend, basically a staple in any Infernity deck, which makes it quite sad that he is at 1. Those of you guys who haven't seen Infernities recently, or at all, what he does is that when you have no cards in your hand and this card is drawn, you can reveal it, special summon this card. Then, when this card is special summoned at all, and you have no cards in your hand, you can add one Infernity card from your deck to your hand. This card essentially serves as the engine of the deck, and like I said, no real Infernity deck would be complete without it. Next, we run the 3 copies of Infernity Necromancer. This is the first and probably the most important level 3 fiend that we choose, so probably our best Transmodify target. When he's normal summoned, he is changed to defense position, and if you have no cards in your hand, he can be a monster reborn for an Infernity monster once per turn. So he's pretty helpful for getting off a lot of your powerful synchro plays and such stuff. Just a pretty good card, even though the deck normally does run a low monster count. I can't imagine running him at anything other than 3. Next up, we have one Infernity Avenger. His effect lets him special summon and increase his level if an Infernity monster is destroyed and you have no cards in your hand, but for the most part, he just serves as the tuner of the deck. And as a level 1 tuner, him plus Necromancer plus Archfiend will give you any 8-star synchro that you need. And being a Dark Tuner, it also opens up some other ones that aren't normally available to most decks. We also run 1 copy of Infernity Mirage, and what he does is that if you have no cards in your hand, you contribute some of this card to select 2 Infernity monsters in your graveyard and special summon them. However, this card himself cannot be special summoned from the graveyard. So he's usually a card that you'll use to keep your plays going. Fortunately, he can't be special summoned from anywhere else, including the hand and deck. He just can't be brought back once dead. So he's usually used to get back used up Necromancer and an Archfiend. Archfiend will get its search off, and then Necromancer can bring back Avenger, allowing you to continue more synchro plays. Now, for the other monsters in the deck, the ones that are additional Transmodify targets, we have 1 Tour Guide from the Underworld. Just lets you get to any of the other level 3 fiends in your deck. Potentially good for a rank 3 Xyz monster. I run 2 Skarm. I'll explain why 2 in a little bit. During the phase, if he's in the graveyard because he was sent there this turn, you can add a level 3 Dark Fiend from your deck to your hand, except him. So, a nice little healthy search. I run 1 Curry Bandit, because he can help you get to a lot of your spell and traps pretty easily, and he can load up your graveyard with monsters if you do happen to excavate any of those. Most Infernity decks are more spell trap heavy, so Curry Bandit can be a helpful little guy when you need him. Also run 1 Archfiend Heiress to round out the Transmodify targets, and she just kind of helps to search out Archfiends. So even if you don't have a Transmodify, you can still use Archfiend Heiress to search out your Archfiend and special summon it through other means. Now, the other cards in the deck, we have 1 Armageddonite and 1 Dark Grepper, whose sole purposes are just to help serve as Foolish Burials for your Dark monsters, just so you can kind of have access to them later on. This deck isn't 100% graveyard reliant, but it is pretty graveyard heavy, so it does help to have those guys there. And 2 Stygian Street Patrol to round out the monster count, just because when this guy's in your graveyard, it can help you empty your hand with Fiend-type monsters. You can use this effect on any Fiend you have in this deck, so it makes them pretty effective. That's it for the monsters, like I said. Moving on to spells, we have 1 Infernity Launcher. This is easily the best card in the deck. Now, what this card does is that you can send an Infernity monster from your hand to the graveyard, not as important, that once per turn. And then if there are no cards in your hand, you can send this card to the graveyard, select up to 2 Infernity monsters, and special summon them. It's pretty similar to what Mirage does, but unlike Mirage, Launcher is only up to 2 cards, so you don't have to be 2 like you do with Mirage, so it makes it a little bit easier to use. Now we have the 2 Transmodify. I'm only running 2 just because the only monster you can really get with it is Archfiend, and he's at 1. You can use it to get Stygian Street Patrol, but honestly, more often than not, you're going to want to go for your Archfiend. So it's just kind of there to help out. Just an experimental means of seeing if it's any faster. For speed, I run 3 Upstart Goblins, 1 Reinforcement of the Army to search out Armageddon Knight and Dark Grepher, just kind of get to them a little bit faster. A 1-for-1 so I can get to my Avenger and my Mirage a little bit quicker. Plus, since you have to discard a monster, it can help keep your hand empty. 1 Foolish Burial, because the graveyard needs it. Raigeki, Soul Charge, Book of Moon, and 2 MSTs to round it out, because well, they're just good cards in Canada. Alright, now, next up we have, for traps, 2 Infernity Breaks. Now, you guys might notice I don't have Infernity Barrier in the main deck. I have it over here in the side deck. Now, the reason for that, even though Infernity Barrier is an amazing card, is that it requires an attack position Infernity monster as well as no cards in your hand. The no cards thing is not a problem, but if you take a look at every main deck Infernity monster we have the 1 Archfiend, who makes sense to be an attack. Necromancer automatically switches to defense mode upon being summoned and has 0 attack regardless. Avenger has 0 attack, and Mirage has 0 attack. Why would these guys be in attack mode? So that means you have 1 card out of 40 that you can have in attack mode to trigger Barrier. Odds are too low on that count. It's not worth it in my mind. If Archfiend was at 2, this would be in the deck, because at least then it feels more justifiable to me. But that's just my preference on it. So anyway, like I said, I run the 2 Infernity Breaks just so you can get some spot removal. 1 Compulse, 1 Bottomless, because why not? 1 Crush Card Virus, because pretty much all of the Transmodify targets also happen to serve as Crush Card targets, so that can kind of help you out a little bit. Its new errata makes it a little trickier to use, but not bad. 1 Ring of Destruction, 1 Vanity's Emptiness, 2 Dimensional Prisons, and 2 Breakthrough Skills. I think those are all kind of self-explanatory. Moving on to the extra deck. We have 1 Old Entity Hastor, fairly new one. Pretty helpful monster. You can make him with just an Avenger and a Necromancer, and he has a lot of really good effects. He's tied for one of the highest attacks on the level 4 Synchro. He can serve as a Fiendish Chain and a Snatch Steal, so yeah, got a good idea to run him. 1 Samsara, because again, it is possible with this deck, and Samsara is basically just a monster born with a wall, so pretty good. 1 Armades, just in case of back row. You can also probably replace this for the Chambara, probably a good idea. I might have to do that. 1 Scrap Dragon, because with it, a lot of times this deck has an issue with clogging up back row, and sometimes you may just need to clear out some room. Scrap Dragon can help you do just that. 1 Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, just because it can help clear out monsters. Void Ogre, because while he's not an Infernity monster, he's basically an Infernity monster. He can negate a spell or trap card once per turn while you have no cards in your hand. So, well, and opponents anyway. So he's basically an Infernity Barrier with legs, and personally, I kind of prefer him. 1 Beals, because Beals, and 1 Infernity Doom Dragon, just because while he's not the best Synchro monster in this deck, he is still pretty good. So I personally still prefer to run him. For the rank 3s, we have 1 Muserhythm, just in case you need to get some high attack. He can go up to 3k on his own effect. Mech-equipped Engineer, just for the defensive capabilities. one Ghost Reek Alucard to take care of that pesky back row, one Dante to help get things into your graveyard, and one Fortune Tune, just again, more for the defensive plays. And on top of having that for Dante, and also I run 2 Scarm, I also run this. Therefore, it doesn't have the image up, but it is Beatrice the Eternal Lady. It is the rank 6 Burning Abyss monster you can put on top of a Dante, and she essentially serves as a Lavolval chain. So, given that Lavolval chain was banned, that was basically the final coffin in the Infernity barrier for a lot of people, myself included. It kind of helps out with this. Unfortunately, she is OCG exclusive, so there is that problem to worry about. But I feel like she'll be a nice little addition to the deck. You can just do Dante, use his effect, toss 3, put on Beatrice, and you are good to go. That's it for this version. Like I said, I have 2 Infernity decks to go over, so this one's going to be a bit faster just because, for the most part, it is the same deck. Just a few Mark II improvements. Basically a different engine. Monster count, only thing that changed is there is no longer a Dark Grepher and Armageddon Knight. So monster count exactly the same otherwise. Spells are really where the spells and traps are really where I change things up. Extra deck is also basically the same. Again, -1 thing. So for the spell traps, instead of 3 Upstart Goblins, I am now running Chicken Game. I just wanted to kind of see how this one worked, because Chicken Game is a really powerful card. The only issue I have with running it in every deck is because the player with the lowest life points takes no damage while this card is face up on the field. Most people don't really think about that, so that can be a bit of a problem. So I thought, alright, what other field spells can I use to get rid of this thing so I can use my draw and then put something else out there that could help? A lot of the field spell cards that were used with Infernities don't really work anymore. For example, hold on. There we go. Archfiend Palabyrinth was one that was pretty good, just because you can, let's see, you target 1 Archfiend monster you control, banish 1 other Fiend type monster you control, and if you do special summon from your hand, deck, or graveyard 1 Archfiend monster with the same level as starting monster. So when we still had 3 Infernity Archfiends, that was a great card. It made a lot of sense to run it. Unfortunately, with only 1, it is worthless. So what I've been running so I decided to run instead is the Gates of Dark World. So on top of giving all your Fiends pretty good attack boost of 300, you can also banish a Fiend type monster in your graveyard, and then discard another Fiend and draw a card. So it's additional draw power, and it lets you get monsters out of your hand into the graveyard and banish them. I'll talk about why the banishing thing is actually relevant. And then, of course, the 2 terraforming. Also, something I kind of forgot, I had an extra Stygian. Sorry, I forgot about that. Mostly because of Gates of Dark World letting you discard Fiends. It just kind of helps to have as many as is humanly possible. And with the exclusion of Armageddon Knight and Dark Grepher from the deck, every monster in the deck is a Fiend. So, then all my other spells are exactly the same. For this version of the traps, the last few are again still the same. 2 breakthroughs, the vanities, the crush card, the boundless, and the compulse. Those are still the same. I just took out the ring of destruction, and the infernity breaks. And in place, I did put the infernity barrier just because, for the sake of consistency, I felt like in this build it would help out a little bit more. In theory, I should be able to get to Archfiend, and if I need to, Doom Dragon a bit faster, so I decided I'd just test that one out. And then 2, Escape from the Dark Dimensions. Now, this is also related to the only other change I made in the deck, which is taking out Hot Red Dragon Archfiend and putting in 100 Eyes Dragon. Now, the reason that I chose to do this is because of the loop you can do with Infernity Mirage. Now, to explain what that is, once you get your Archfiend, Necromancer, and Avenger, and you do your synchro plays, you can go into 100 Eyes Dragon, and if you've already used up a Mirage, you can then use his effect to banish Mirage, or you can have him banished with Gates of Dark World. Use Escape from the Dark Dimension in order to get Mirage back. Remember, he only can't be special summoned from the graveyard. Special summoning him from the banish zone, however, is still perfectly okay. So you can do that, retribute him, and then get off more synchro plays. Plus, since you can just be banishing monsters in general with Gates of Dark World, Escape gives you a little bit more protection from certain things like Dimensional Prison. So overall, I feel like this one's more of I feel like it's a faster build, but also slightly more cautious. I haven't decided which build I particularly like more yet. Like I said, I haven't really had a chance to test out either terribly much. So I'm issuing this challenge to you guys. Use one of these decks if you feel the need to, and let me know how they work. Um, I do really love Infernities. I hate to say that they're dead, but as of right now, no one has come out with a really good, consistent build with only one Archfiend, one barrier, one launcher, and no revolvable chains. Um, but I love the deck to death, so I do want to help keep it alive, and I need you guys to kind of help me out with this one. So let me know what you guys think down below. Is this a really good, or either one of these decks viable? Um, and don't forget to also like my page on Facebook to, again, give me further commentary on these things. Like this video and subscribe to my channel for further content. And until next time, peace.